The heart of the Midwest, they called Willowbrook, a picture postcard of red brick permanence and deep-rooted families. For generations, a local girl's pinnacle was a wedding in the shadow of the town's tallest spire. Olivia Marshall had been one of those girls. She'd met Robert at the arts festival, her hands smudged with children's paint, his bearing the polished sheen of Marshall real estate. To Olivia, fresh from art school, he was a perfect alloy of metropolitan grace and hometown solidity. As their courtship unfolded, she saw his name etched into the town's very bones: Marshall Library, Marshall Park, Marshall Memorial Hospital. His family history was the town's progress. "My family's traditional, but they'll love you," Robert had promised on one knee. The Marshall Mansion, a Victorian sentinel on the hill, held a different truth. Her first dinner there was an appraisal. Harold Marshall's gaze was a cold ledger. "Art, is it?" he'd grunted. "A modest pursuit." Her mother-in-law, Elaine, had sighed, her pearl-strung elegance a velvet glove over iron. "Remember your duty to our traditions, Robert." The duty was explicit. In this family, Elaine had said, her eyes on Olivia's barren finger, the wife of the eldest son provides an heir. The pressure became a climate. Months bled into a year, then two, marked by sterile dinners and Elaine's pointed, "No news?" Olivia endured the silent blame, the hormone shots, the despair. Marshall men produce strong offspring. Elaine would declare at charity galas. Her sister-in-law, Becky, would coo over her own children, adding, "But you wouldn't understand." The winter she finally conceived, Robert's celebration was a phone call. "Good, I'll inform father." At the announcement dinner, Harold offered his first real smile, an heir at last. The unspoken prayer, "Let it be a boy," hung in the champagne bubbles. The revelation of a girl turned the house cold. Harold's smile vanished into a grim hum. Robert's touch grew rare, his absences long. "We'll try for a boy next time," was his only comfort. When the text from an unknown woman flashed on his phone, "Can we meet tonight?" Olivia's heart fissured but did not break. That night, in the quiet of her room, she began to write, not a diary of sorrow, but a ledger of evidence. Every slight, every clandestine deal overheard, every bruise upon her spirit was meticulously recorded. So when Elaine's call came, voice uncharacteristically warm, inviting her to a baby shower at the country club, Olivia allowed a fragile hope to bloom. She dressed in soft blue, tracing the invitation's elegant script. "Let's celebrate a new member of the family." For her daughter, she would grasp this olive branch. The club was hushed, the staff overly polite. She pushed open the door to the banquet hall, expecting pastel balloons. Instead, a banner screamed in crimson, "Farewell Party." The crowd, Marshall relations, town pillars, stilled. In the center, beside a table of neatly packed boxes and legal documents, stood Robert with a sleek, unfamiliar woman smirking at his side. "Olivia, this is Melissa," Robert said, his voice a stranger's. "My future." The ground tilted. Olivia gripped a chair. "Your function is complete," Robert stated. Harold gestured to the papers. "Sign. The lawyers have seen to everything." "This is the shower?" Olivia's voice was a thread. Elaine's laugh was a shard of ice. "A shower? For you? You were merely a vessel. We'll raise the child properly." The silent guests averted their eyes. In the crushing quiet, Olivia's trembling hand found her phone. The baby stirred within, a kick of defiance. 3 years of humiliation crystallized into a cold, clear purpose. She tapped the screen. "Then let the real farewell begin." The massive wall screen ignited. Robert and Melissa, entangled, in their bed, time stamped 6 months prior. A gasp ripped through the room. Robert paled. "A preview," Olivia said, her voice now steady, strong. She tapped again. The scene shifted. Harold in his study, detailing a scheme to defraud elderly homeowners, his voice crisp on the hidden audio. "You didn't think I'd hear?" Chaos bubbled. Harold sputtered. Melissa clung to Robert. "My gift to you," Olivia announced. She gestured. The doors swung open. A man in a sharp suit entered. "My lawyer." Then, a procession of women, faces etched with shared betrayal. "And the clients your husband and father-in-law swindled. They've come to see you off." She stood tall, a queen on a field of ruin. "Your legacy." As Robert lunged for her phone, she sidestepped with calm grace. I wouldn't. This is all live. For the town. Say hello. She showed the screen, the viewer count soaring. Another tap. Elaine's own face filled the wall. Sneering. She's a placeholder. A temporary incubator. 3 years of records, Olivia stated. Every insult. Every illegal instruction. She looked at Harold. Now slumped. Digitized. Secured. Set to publish if I so much as stumble. Finally, she displayed a medical report. And Robert, your obsession with an heir, it was always a fantasy. The document diagnosed his severe infertility. This child, she said, cradling her belly, is a donor's, medically, ethically conceived, while you were working late. The room dissolved into uproar. The facade of the Marshall dynasty, meticulously maintained for generations, lay shattered at Olivia's feet. She did not smile in triumph. She simply looked at the ruins of her former life, the storm of scandal breaking over the family that sought to discard her, and knew her daughter would never have to dream of a spire in Willowbrook. Her inheritance would be freedom. Truth, Olivia countered, her voice a calm blade slicing through the chaos. Every word. A simple DNA test will confirm it all. As if on cue, the rear doors parted. 2 police officers entered, their presence casting an immediate pall. Olivia's lawyer met them with a succinct briefing. One officer approached Harold. Mr. Marshall, we'd appreciate your voluntary cooperation regarding multiple allegations of fraud and tax evasion. Simultaneously, a flutter of movement came from a side entrance. Local journalists, cameras alight, drawn by the live-streamed spectacle now exploding into a full-blown scandal. Olivia's gaze swept over the crumbling dynasty before her. You tried to exile me, to erase me from your story, from this town. She took a step toward the table of dissolution. Impossible. She lifted the divorce papers, not as a supplicant, but as an arbiter. I will sign, but under new terms. A nod to her lawyer produced a fresh, weightier document, a fair division of Marshall assets, sole custody of my child, and a full, formal investigation into Marshall Real Estate's practices. Her pen met the paper with a definitive stroke. Robert surged forward, his composure shattered, and seized her arm. You have no idea what you're doing. Olivia didn't flinch. She simply extracted her arm, her eyes on the live stream viewer count still climbing on her phone. The assault is also being recorded. Your reputation is ash. Would you like to be remembered as a bully, too? A seismic shift rippled through the room. The guests' initial confusion thawed into dawning comprehension, then into a collective, silent alignment with the woman they had watched be dismantled. The Marshall mystique was unraveling in real time. Today, I leave this family, Olivia announced, her voice carrying to every corner. But I am not departing in defeat. I am crossing a threshold. She turned to face the crowd, the true host of this revelatory wake. Thank you all for attending this farewell. It seems, however, the family saying goodbye is yours. Elaine rose, a tremor of pure fury in her voice. Get out, you shameful. I am leaving. Olivia interrupted, serene. But remember this. You saw me as a tool. I possess something you traded for power long ago. Her hand rested lightly over her heart. Integrity, and the courage to use it. Amid the disarray of the Marshalls, Olivia turned toward the exit, pausing at the threshold. She cast one last look behind her. Robert, Melissa, her tone was almost conversational. You're a perfect match. I hope you find happiness in the world you've built, one lie at a time. Then, she stepped through the door. Outside, the engine of Sarah's car hummed in the crisp air. Her oldest friend, her sole confidant through the 3-year quiet war, leaned across to open the passenger door. Well? Olivia sank into the seat, a long, unburdening sigh escaping her. It's done. Their reckoning has just begun. As the car pulled away, Olivia watched Willowbrook scroll past the window, the brick facades, the sprawling oaks, all once under the Marshall shadow. That shadow was now fracturing. Where to? Sarah asked. My apartment. For now. Olivia's hand settled on the curve of her belly, a gesture of protection and promise. She and I have much bigger plans. She did not look back. 3 weeks later, Sophia entered the world, a squall of healthy life. The birth announcement shared the front page of the Willowbrook Gazette with the unfolding Marshall scandal. The headline read, "A New Life. A Fight for Justice, Olivia West and daughter Sophia." "She's perfect," murmured Judith Cohen, Olivia's formidable lawyer, her sharp eyes softening as she brushed a finger against the baby's tiny fist. In her sun-drenched office, strategy maps were spread alongside baby blankets. "She's my strength," Olivia said, smiling down at her daughter. "The Marshalls are counter-suing," Judith stated, tapping a legal brief, claiming illegal recording, invasion of privacy. Olivia's expression remained unshaken. "As we anticipated. And as we've prepared for," Judith affirmed. "The country club is a public venue. Your home was jointly owned. Whistleblower protections are robust. Their walls had ears. And those ears were lawful." The trial cleaved the town. But as Olivia took the stand, composed in a navy suit, her testimony a clear, unemotional recitation of 3 years of calculated erosion, the tide began to turn. She spoke not of heartbreak, but of breach of contract, not of betrayal, but of fraud. The turning point was Robert's testimony, haggard and alone, Melissa long gone. He sat in the witness box under the prosecutor's glare. "Why?" the prosecutor asked. "Why the public humiliation?" A hollow silence stretched before Robert's voice, thin and broken, emerged. "My father, it was all to preserve the family. His design." A gasp filled the court. Harold stared straight ahead, rigid. Elaine hid her face. "Did you ever love your wife?" Robert's eyes found Olivia's across the room. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a bleak emptiness. "In the beginning," he whispered, "but the family, the expectations, consumed you." Olivia finished softly from her seat. It was not an accusation, but an epitaph. On the final day, Olivia entered the courtroom with 6-month-old Sophia in her arms. "Your Honor," she addressed the court, "I came here seeking justice, but I am also here to build a future. The world my daughter inherits should value fairness, not fear power." The verdict was a quake. The court awarded Olivia sole custody, a significant portion of Marshall real estate shares, and property. Criminal investigations were mandated to proceed. In the courthouse lobby, a shattered Robert approached. "Olivia, can you ever forgive me?" She stopped, meeting his plea with a gaze that was clear but held no warmth. "Forgiveness is possible. Return is not." She walked on, into the sunlight and the crowd of supporters, toward her daughter and her life. 5 years later, morning light gilded the gardens of the New Hope Sustainable Community, built on land once slated for a Marshall-backed exploitation. In a house of warm wood and large windows, 5-year-old Sophia presented a slightly crumpled dandelion bouquet. "For your desk, Mommy." "It's exquisite," Olivia said, accepting the treasure. She now led New Hope Development, the resurrected incarnation of Marshall real estate, its ethos transformed to transparency and community benefit. Her office was in the renovated wing of the old Marshall mansion. The other half housed a support center for single mothers. At the office, Judith brought news. The single-parent support bill passed. Your advocacy worked. That afternoon, Olivia stood before the town at the opening of a new community garden. She spoke of healing, of roots, of turning poisoned soil into a place where things could grow again. As the crowd dispersed, she saw him, Robert, on the periphery. He looked older, quieter, cleansed of his old pretensions. He gave a slight, respectful nod. Olivia returned it, a brief, quiet closure. She felt a small hand slip into hers. "Mommy," Sophia asked, her eyes bright with the uncomplicated joy of a child who had only known love. "Are you happy?" Olivia looked down at her daughter, at the vibrant garden, at the town rebuilding itself, and felt the sturdy peace of a self-made life. "Yes, my wise, wonderful girl," she said, her smile radiant and true. "We are happy, and our story is just beginning."